And as we undertook that, will try and neaten up the submissions pertaining to Mr. Makaleni, correct all the typing errors. We have since done
That's
that.
cooking.
It's nothing new, my lord, which is just a separate document, and I've given.
Hey Tada, we are back with another video. The page it is called South African Late News. What we've just heard there is Advocate Baloyi saying he has corrected and neatened up the statement of Thabang Makeleni. Remember, the statement of Thabang Makeleni was not introduced by Mr. Advocate Nxumalo, so it should not be used against accused number 4 in the section 174 discharge, because that statement had nothing to do with accused number 4. I think it was introduced by Ramosepeli during the trial, within the trial or whenever, I don't remember. But now let's go back into time and remind who is Thabang Makeleni and why is his statement so important in this case. Okay, Thabang Makeleni is one of those guys that was sitting outside the house near the Kelly Khumalo household on the day when Senzo was shot. In his statement, Thabang Makeleni alleged that he saw 2 men running out of the Khumalo household after the 2 shots had been fired. He said earlier on the day he saw the very same men at the garage, and he described one of them. He said he had gold tooth and dreadlocks. And then later on, after the shooting, he saw them again running out of the house. And when he described them, indirectly he's saying one of them is Mapisa. However, it is very important that Thabang Makeleni is dead, so a dead man cannot speak. So his statement was brought in court by the state to support their narrative that there was an intruder in the Khumalo household. However, Thabang Makeleni died of poisoning, so he is not there to come to court and be cross-examined about what it is contained on that statement. So that statement on its own, it's actually hearsay evidence, because no one can collaborate it since the deposer of the statement is dead. So it was not supposed to be read in court in the first place. So I think Ramosepeli made a mistake. I have to admit that. He scored an own goal here for the defense. It was not smart of him. However, that statement should not be used against Mapisa, because Mapisa is represented by Nxumalo, not Ramosepeli. So the judge should not have allowed Baloyi to mention that statement in section 174 discharge, because it has nothing to do with Mapisa. So now my problem is that Thabang Makeleni died and he cannot testify. So that statement should have was supposed to be kept in a docket and not be presented in court, because it serves no purpose, because now the defense cannot cross-examine Makeleni. So Baloyi is being disingenuous to continue to use it, because he knows very well that the statement cannot be proven, and rather allowed it. So it is quite bizarre that now Baloyi is trying to use it against Mapisa on this section 174 discharge. If Baloyi wanted to use it, he should have used it against the client of Ramosepeli, not Advocate Nxumalo's client. But in this court, we see that there's a lot of things that are wrong that are going on. But let's go back to Makeleni. My problem with his statement in the first place is that it was in the dark when he saw those men. But surprisingly enough, he was able to describe those men to the T. He could see one dance, he could see Mapisa, and he could see a gold tooth in the night in October. So to me, that statement, it sounds to be fabricated, because we know now that the state fabricate evidence based on ubaba uZungu, because he told us that uGininda tried to make him come to court and implicate Ubantans and Musibi. So we know that the state is allegedly fabricating evidence. So I suspect that the statement of Makeleni was also fabricated, because in October, after 8, it was dark. So it was not possible for Tao Makeleni to see those special features on the face of Ntanzi, Mapisa, and so on. So to me, it's bizarre that he was able to see them. And the worst part is that Baloyi did not even bring the police official that took down that statement. I think the police name is Warrant Officer Steenkamp. Yeah. The least that Baloyi could have done is to bring Steenkamp to come and then verify that statement, but he did not do so. So there's no one that is actually verifying that statement. So now we are sitting there in court, and accused number 4 might be found guilty based on a statement that was made by someone that is dead, that did not come to court and testify and give his account of what he saw. I really believe that Tao Makeleni never made that statement. It is convenient for the state to have that statement because Makeleni is dead, so now the defense cannot cross-examine him. So Baloyi was sneaky in the way he introduced it as evidence. But that statement on its own, it is very suspicious, because Makeleni ubabona kanjani abantu ukuthi okay lo wenje ebusweni kanje, but kwaku October, and we know that October at about 8 p.m. it is totally dark in South Africa. So it is impossible ukuthi Makeleni wabona Mapisa ebusuku bephuma begijima. Indlela echaza ngayo ukuthi okay ebusweni omunye kanje, because there was helped ukuthi badraw in isketch lesi abasebenzayo ukuthi okay uNtanzi bani lo, but the state is clearly playing a dirty game here. But I blame Nailo Ramasepile in the first place. He should not have mentioned that statement in any way, but he did mention it during the trial, within the trial, if I'm not mistaken. So, Langavuma, okay, Ramasepile, he scored an own goal here when he mentioned that statement. He should not have mentioned it because Makeleni was dead. He was not going to be able to cross-examine him. So that statement should have been just kept there in a docket, just remain redundant. Now, okay, we are going to Uracha. I think Uracha is going to use it to support the state narrative. Yes, indeed, they were intruders, because based on Tabang Makeni's statement, there were 2 intruders that were seen running out. I think now it's part of the evidence that Racha is going to rely on to find these guys guilty. Or else we know that that statement is fabricated, because there were no intruders at that house. There were no intruders at the common household on the day that Senzo died. We know based on statements Mlungisi Hlophe ukuthi uTumela Madlala phoned him and told him ukuthi Senzo Meyiwa was allegedly shot by mistake ngubani uLongethwala. So that is the statement that was done by Mlungisi Hlophe, who is still alive and will come to court and then testify and then give us more clarity on what he had on the telephone conversation with Utumela Madlala. So we need such witnesses who are alive and can give us a true account of what happened. Not Lento Yotao Makeleni. But now I believe Uracha will use this evidence by the dead witness that cannot be cross-examined because of irrecklessness Kabani Karamosapil. But now Uracha, in the first place, he should not use the statement against Ulo Mapisa because it was not mentioned by Unumalo. Unumalo was at pain trying to explain to Uracha that my client has nothing to do with the statement because I did not mention it. But Uracha afunukizwa leyo. And he's just happy because that statement, Katao Makeleni, it implicates accused number 4, and others. So he's going to use it because it supports the state narrative intrude, which is what urathi ngiyambona ukuthi okay uyayikholela kuyona. But anyway, Hlophe will come for the defense and debunk all this theory of an intruder because he was told by Duane Madlala as to ubani uthi owadubula uSenzo Meyiwa ngephutha. That's the sort of evidence that we need. And we know very well that in this case also, General Sibiya, Lo Peter Mahawks, it was also mentioned in this case as being part of the cooking by Advocate Tefu. Advocate Tefu alleged that General Sibiya was allegedly bribed by Chico Twala. I don't remember, I think it was 1 million rand, allegedly. He bribed him so that he can protect Ulongo Twala after that shooting incident. We know for the fact that after Senzo was shot, there was a meeting held at the Kumala household where there was Sibiya, there was the former Gauteng MEC of Safety, and there were other senior politicians and senior police officials at that house. They held a meeting where it is alleged that the theory of an intruder was approved. So at that meeting, a theory of an intruder was approved because they were trying to protect Ulongo Twala, allegedly. And that meeting, must remember that it was held before the arrival of the likes of Umosiya and Mangena, who are forensic experts. So they came to the crime scene, which was already tempered because a meeting was held there, which means crucial evidence was destroyed because people in that house were touching things all over. So now, by the time Umosiya, no Chris Mangena, crucial samples were destroyed because officials and politicians were busy in that house touching all over the door and so on. Because if you are in the house, it's impossible that Guti and Tindilutu. So, which is why this case was destroyed from the beginning, because the DNA, the samples, and my fingerprints could not be obtained properly because crime scene was highly contaminated by the time Kufika Mangena and Umosiya. So the state even just bezama so hard to okay, they rely on hearsay evidence, because they have no other evidence in this case. Hearsay evidence, Uzungu, and those fake confessions. Those are the basis of the state case. Without those fake confessions, accused number 1 and 2, there's no evidence against them because clearly they're using those confessions. Accused number 3, we know very well that Gadla Mncube, when Senzo was shot, at the same time, Gadla Mncube was not in Phosphorus because his cell phone record shows that his phone pinged in the Johannesburg CBD at the same time when Senzo was shot. So Gadla Mncube is not the shooter of Senzo Meyiwa because he was in Johannesburg CBD. Mncube cannot be in 2 places at once. Then we go to accused number 4. There's zero evidence against him. So that's why they are relying on Thabang Makeleni statement. Lo sefile ukuthi okay, wabona abantu abayithu bephuma endlini, allegedly one of them is Mapisa. So they are relying on that statement to try and convict Mapisa. Also, they are trying to use Constable Zungu because that implicated all 4 of being at the hostel on the day when Senzo was shot. But there is no physical proof that actually proves that they were there in that house. The DNA sample taken in the house exclude all 5 men, meaning that they were not in that house. As soon as the DNA says all 5 men are excluded, I saw Guinea trying to bring the DNA into this case, saying no, 2% was picked up, 2%, no. In court, a DNA must be 99.99%, not 2%. So the 2% that was mentioned by Kininda is irrelevant. Those guys were not in that house when Senzo was shot. So the likes of Thabo Makeleni, I think they are being used here so that they can convict these guys. It is impossible that Thabo Makeleni could see abantu abayi-2 begijima at night after 8 ukuthi awa-describe ukuthi ebusweni wenje kanjani umbona kanjani umuntu ebusuku umnyama 100 meters away from you. Clearly the state is fabricating that part of the evidence because they know very well that Thabo Makeleni is dead, so nobody is going to question it. So they are relying on the fact that this judge also likes Baloyi. He's got a soft spot for Uvaseline. Whenever Baloyi khuluma, the judge umbone shaking his head, showing ukuthi he agrees with him. So this case is just messed up from the start to the finish. The involvement of Shadrack Sibiya in this case, it was really not good because now we know that meeting that was held there, that's where the conspiracy to create this narrative of an intruder was authorized. So everything after that is just hogwash. We know that the bullet jacket that was found on the following day in the crime scene was planted. Why they didn't find that bullet on the same day when Senzo was shot? Because we know that several police officers came to that house and searched and found no bullet jacket, no bullets, they found no gun, nothing. But on the following day, they found a bullet jacket or a projectile. Clearly, that projectile was planted in the crime scene so that it can implicate other people other than those that were in the house. So it was planted there just to implicate other suspects like Ukazamnob, clearly. So we know that crime scene was highly contaminated. But I have to say, I think we're disappointed in Ramsepile because Land Water Makeleni, Ugubaza I mentioned the court. I think Ubaloy was a call, but now he mentioned it. Which the statement by a dead man says this. So now Rata is going to accept it, which is why I think he's going to find all these guys guilty. He's going to find them guilty based on hogwash, hearsay, and fabricated evidence. That's why I'm hoping that once he found them guilty, they'll go straight to the Supreme Court of Appeal and appeal his decision. There, then Rata will be exposed to Gucci. He was a biased judge. And then Ubaloy and so on will be embarrassed. As for Ukeninda, I'm sure Yana is going to be embarrassed as soon as Absalom Zungu comes to court and testify and tells the court Uguti Ukeninda tried to offer me money allegedly so that I can testify against accused number 1 and 2. So for Ukeninda is going to be embarrassed soon. Soon is going to be embarrassed sooner than Baloy. Baloy, okay, may take time because he made sure that his hands are clean. He uses people that are around him to make sure that he gets a conviction. Like he's using the statement of Thabo Makeleni, which is clearly fabricated because why engage Thabo Makeleni about Amadebsu? But we shall see. The case will resume on Tuesday. That is when I think Judge Rata is going to come back with the judgment on Section 174 that was applied for by Mapisa. But I think the judgment was written before even the case started because it clearly he supports the state narrative. However, on Tuesday, I'm sure he's going to try to sound like a fair judge and say, no, I think in the interest of justice, Section 174 is declined so that Mapisa can have an opportunity to testify and explain why some witnesses saw him there and so on. But we know very well that Mapisa was not there. So on Tuesday, Rata will come back with the judgment. But I'm sure he's going to say Section 174 is declined. Therefore, the case we'll have to resume, and then the the 5 men that are accused will have to present their own case and call their witnesses and so on. But let us wait for Tuesday and hear what Rata has got for us. Thank you for watching.